So quickly, if we touch on power, I've read through the section of power, and power is one of the things that, besides insecurity, we're talking about our culture, and we spent a lot of time talking about our culture because that is what in fact that's the most um touted term that they used during the campaign, and then after that they talked about insecurity, and that's where our president to be says that he will recruit 50 million youths into the army. So Sinoshaw and Halisa, I hope you're getting ready to serve your country, and
Boot
I
on
hope you're
ground.
getting ready to.
Boot on
I hope you're
ground.
getting
Boot on
ready to
ground.
eat agbado in the
Ahoo.
morning,
Ahoo.
cassava in
Ahoo.
the afternoon. But, but on a more serious note, moving over to like power, um, under the section of power, I don't know, because I know that me personally, I'll speak for myself. One of the greatest things that I am demanding from any government that gets into Asorok right now is power. We need 247 power, and this nation cannot really move further, without having power, so. But from what is in the manifesto, again, we are talking about manifesto, and some of these parties don't really believe, in manifesto like that. There's no actual. I don't know if you guys have gone through these documents, so that's it's not like.
No, I've also seen, and I'll quote their numbers again. Why am I remembering all of the figures? This because they said they're going to take it from 6,000 megawatts to 20,000 in the first 4 years, and then to 50,000 megawatts in the next 4 years. But there was no. Maybe I have to check it again, but I didn't know. I didn't see exact or specifics in the sense of the way you see it, maybe in the AAC manifesto of how they want to go about the power mix. And I think that Sinosha also has a very broad understanding of this, because I know of a conversation he had recently about discos and all of those other value chain of electricity. But for the for the APC manifesto, that's all I can remember honestly when it comes to their power conversation. It's just all of those figures.
Leave
Yeah.
power. When it comes to Nigerian issue, leave power. All power belongs to God. Leave power.
Thank God you did not quote this guy, yo. I thought he was going to do that Afrobeat song, right? But let's I,
Oh,
all power
okay.
belongs to God. Let's leave
But
it
but
there.
but but but, but there's actually more in their manifesto. They've said they're going to eliminate estimated billing, which is a crazy which I don't even know why it's taking so long. Because is it not just
Oh,
like,
okay.
why is it taking so long?
when when
Yeah.
when they had the agreement in 2013 to do the privatization that was done, right, where they did the unbundling of the power holding company of Nigeria. Part of the terms of the agreement was that all of these discos were going to meter ensure that metering is achieved within their jurisdiction, like where they cover. Eco Electricity Distribution Company, for instance, covers the island, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And then it also covers some part of Lagos mainland, yeah. And then we have the
Yeah, that's
Ikeja
right.
Electricity Distribution Company, which covers the other part of Lagos mainland. And I think it stretches to, if it doesn't get to Abeokuta, right? There's also the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, which does the work of the old Midwestern states, you understand? But now, when you probe very closely, one thing you will see is that none of them have been able so far to meter their clients. So literally, it means they need to use best of judgment to estimate the power that the people are consuming. That's where estimated
But they
billing
actually
comes.
did. They actually did some, though. They actually did some, but I think the federal government had to step in as it last year or a
No,
couple
the
of years
stepping in
ago
started
to.
since 2017 or so. Currently, our meter
Crazy.
penetration level is somewhere around 30 to 38%. That means we still have about
Wow.
62% of Nigerians that should have access to power, but they don't have meter. On top, those people were at 9 and they plan the estimated billing. Don't forget as well, it happened in Nigeria where comrades from the African Action Congress had to join a mobilization. I think DSM2 was involved to ensure that they get was it Eko or Ikeja, one of the two, to actually find something to do about that because they had to cut off the whole community from power because those people just insisted, we are not paying estimated billing, give us meter. But the federal government has been
Do
intervening.
you know that this estimated billing stuff is so crazy that at a particular before, I think 2 or 3 months before I finally got like my prepaid meter for my apartment, the bills that were coming in were like 50k for for an
What?
apartment. And yeah, and
And
that's
they,
like I think Nigeria is such a dubious environment. So I think because they knew that they were going to bring the prepaid meter soon, so they just and now like you still have to pay. There's a way they infuse it into the current charges or whatever. Whenever you pay
if you
make
load
payments, they
10,000,
take out
they
some of
will,
that.
they will drop to
Yeah.
5. If you load 20,000, they
It-
might drop 5,000.
no,
That's what they
they
do.
withdraw. They withdraw about, I think, about 6.5 every time that you know, I recharge or whatsoever. But I think that's just peculiar to me. But I know that the pricing is just so
No,
crazy,
you were
and
there.
that's
You were
for
busy there. You were busy supplying all your people with electricity. You were subsidizing your neighborhood, maybe.
what they do is that why it's so crazy is that in an environment where they have like prepaid meters, some of the people are on prepaid. I think there's a way that I'm not sure, but I think there's a way that they measure the general consumption in that area, and then they don't take out those people that have paid that are now running on prepaid. So then the bill now becomes so expensive, more expensive for those that are doing that are still on estimated billing and stuff. So it is so crazy. And NEPA, like this IKEDC, these companies are not places where you want to go and waste your time or do activism at their doorstep or whatsoever. It's just going to be a waste of time, right? Because you go there are so many people. It's a process, honestly, and I think that estimated. I would have loved if this thing actually had like a time frame where they are saying that okay, in the first can I see any? There's no time frame here. Like in the first 5 months or 6 months or 1 year, we are going to get this thing totally, or everybody's going to have prepaid meters in Nigeria. I think it's have been better that way, but it's not what it is, though.
Well done. You want me make them promise you happy, so you go feel drag their trouser when they know meet
Ah,
the guideline. I actually think like I was talking to one of our brothers who was actually trying to also tell me that me I'm looking at the disco side alone, that there is a lot of corruption as well on the value chain. There is also issues around gas. You will see in this manifesto, you will see that they are talking about ensuring prioritization of gas for Gencos, because we have a lot of gas-fired plants these days, right? And they contribute the most significant portion of our electricity generation. So they are saying they are going to do that, which is a welcome development. But the point is,
before
it
you
is
go on,
high.
Sino Show, Discos and Gencos, it might be that everyone knows it, but can you just share very briefly what that is?
Oh, okay. Gencos, now those ones where they generate the power. Those ones that like Kanji is a Genco kind of plant. Like Geregu is a Genco generation company, power generation company. So we call them Genco. Those discos are the ones like Ikeja electricity distribution, Yola electricity distribution, Kaduna electricity distribution, Jos electricity distribution, Bini electricity distribution. It's interesting, yeah. It's sounding so nice, eh?
But
So those
why don't
ones,
we have 247 power? It's actually a crisis. Like why don't we just have why can't we just have power supply in Nigeria? Like what's
Did
even
you
the
wake
major
up
issue?
2 weeks ago and say electricity, power, electricity, power?
electricity,
Because
You've been saying
because
electricity. You know what?
I know how much this thing is
vibes on the
affecting me.
frequency.
You know what's
Seriously, like
coming
I
to my
know
mind, yeah?
this thing affects all businesses. It affects entrepreneurs. I know how much it affects me personally. Like my job literally requires me to have 247 power
Mm.
supply. I cannot be productive if I don't have power supply, right? And like it's crazy, honestly. Like it's really depressing being in an environment where you don't know everything in the 21st century now runs on power supply. Your phone, your laptops, every single device, so sometimes I'm
Yeah.
envious of those that do jobs that maybe you don't require doesn't require you to have power supply. And and so on and so forth. So I don't know.
So
Me, I don't see
Sinosure, why don't we
anything
have electricity? 24/7 electricity.
We don't have electricity because we are following vibes on a frequency.
Ah.
You
because
get
because you could not pay, you could not make a down payment for a roasted corn. You could
Roasted
not make
corn.
you could not make a down payment for a roasted corn. That's why.
you might want to blame the DNCos, you might want to blame the discos, you might want to blame the TCN, the transmission company. Some people call them TCN because it's Transmission Company of Nigeria. You might want to blame anyone, but the point is the whole value chain is invested with a lot of inefficiency. The national grid, TCN's main infrastructure, has broken down more than 32 times in the last 24 months. Yeah, more than 22 times in the last 24 months. Yeah. And you know why
So
this is very.
how much hope do you have for this? Because when we talk with our friends from the APC, they tell you about the Siemens deal, blah blah blah. How much hope do you actually have that this thing would provide power supply for us? Because
Siemens deal, the Siemens plan worked in Egypt. Yeah? But what makes things work in any place is the political will to completely implement them. Abi? So, if, for instance, we follow through with the Siemens deal, do you know President Buhari just recently signed the act that allows, was this signed? Or I think the National Assembly passed it. I'm not sure he has assented. That allows, yes, he has assented
Is that yeah, it is.
states to generate and distribute power by themselves. So, where does this Siemens deal fit in amongst all of this? So it's supposed that at the federal level, the federal government still has this on their list as well that they will continue to treat. But I think it's now responsibility should beckon on us to actually get our elected state governors or selected, depending on how you see it. If you're obedient now, you'll be saying selected. If it's not the LP,
Which is going to be all the states at this point, except the one
yeah,
that are having their
except
elections in November.
that one even said yeah, they did not vote him, that
Except one.
he's had his relevance even before they emerged. But the point is, if the state governors can get into action, right? I believe any state that is able to get the head start will actually get a lot of traction in terms of investment. A lot of people will move there.
But this one is not connected to APC, right? It's I feel like we're still talking current administration.
Who has ever
Is there a rollover?
show me anybody who has ever pointed to APC as the only problem, as the problem of Nigeria, and I will tell you
Well,
somebody who doesn't understand Nigeria.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
it is. APC is just a symptom of the problem, just like PDP, just like LP. People will not like that. It will pain you, but
But
I don't care. I am an equal
yeah,
opportunity offender. So